Level 1. The Page. You are 7 years old. Your father leads you through the gate of a lord's castle and hands you to a steward you have never met. He does not look back. He has given you everything he can, a connection to a powerful household, and a chance at a life he cannot give you himself. The gate closes. You will not see your mother for 3 years. They call you a page. It means servant. You carry firewood and pour wine and hold a torch so the Lord's wife can read at night. You make beds that are not yours to sleep in. You eat in the kitchen with the other boys, scraps from tables you set but cannot sit at. The great hall where the Lord feasts is 30 feet from where you sleep on a straw pallet in a drafty corridor. The distance might as well be infinite, but you are learning. French, because English is for peasants and the court speaks French. Latin, because the church speaks Latin and the church controls everything. Manners, how to bow, how to enter a room, how to address a man above your station without letting him see that you want what he has. You learn to ride. Your legs are too short to reach the stirrups properly, and you fall twice before you figure out how to grip with your knees. No one helps you up. Getting up is the lesson. You are being shaped.
Level 2. The Squire. You are 14. You have been assigned to a knight, Sir Aldrich, a veteran of the border wars, a man who smells of horse sweat and old iron, and something underneath those things that you will eventually identify as controlled violence. He does not introduce himself. He points at his horse and walks away. You understand. You tend his war horse before your own meals. You clean his armor, each piece dismantled, each link of mail inspected, rust scraped with cloth and sand until the metal gleams cold. Full plate weighs 60 pounds. You learn to dress a man in it in under 4 minutes. Any longer in the field, and he dies waiting. You carry his shield in training. You hold his destrier while he charges the quintain, a swinging dummy with a weighted arm that knocks riders senseless if they are too slow. Sometimes he lets you charge it too. The weighted arm hits you in the shoulder and you spiral off your horse into the mud. Sir Aldrich watches you fall. He does not laugh. He watches you get up, mount again, charge again. He nods once. You understand that one nod is everything. You ride to war with him at 16, a border dispute, 1 lord's cattle stolen, 20 men dead over it, 3 villages burned before anyone stopped to negotiate. You learn that knights do not charge singing. They charge sweating and terrified, screaming to push the fear out of their throats. You carry a lance for the first time in a real charge and drop it when your horse stumbles over a body in the grass. Sir Aldrich kills 2 men in the time it takes you to recover your composure. That evening, over cold bread and river water, he tells you, a knight who hesitates is a knight who dies, or worse, a knight who gets his men killed. You will hear that sentence in your head for the next 40 years.
Level 3. The Knight Bachelor. You are 19. The ceremony takes place at dawn, in a chapel that smells of tallow candles and damp stone. You kneel before your lord on cold flagstones for 2 hours in silent prayer, because knighthood requires witness before God before witness before men. The Lord touches his sword to each of your shoulders. He says the words, "You rise, sir," your name, your full name, for the first time in your life preceded by a title. It feels like a costume that does not yet fit. You have no land, no title beyond the honorific. Bachelor, the word means single, unattached, not yet established. You own your armor, your horse, your sword. The horse alone cost 4 years of a craftsman's wages. You are the lowest form of knight that exists, but you are a knight. The peasants who see you ride past bow their heads without being asked. The serfs who cannot meet a lord's gaze look down when you approach. You did not command them to bow. They do it because of what you represent. The law, the Lord, the organized and legitimized threat of violence. You are the sharp edge of a system you were not born into, but have been honed to serve. You have not yet asked who the system serves in return. Level 4. The Tournament Knight. You spend 2 years on the tournament circuit. the medieval equivalent of a mercenary economy dressed in the language of sport and glory. Tournaments are not jousting in sunlight before cheering ladies, they are melee battles. Dozens of knights on each side crashing across open fields, the objective to capture opponents alive and ransom them back to their lords. A wealthy knight, captured and held, is worth £100 or more. You capture 3 in your first season. You ransom 2. The third you hold for 6 months because his lord is slow to pay and you need the leverage more than you need the goodwill. The prize money pays for a better horse, a finer sword, connections. Tournaments are where lords scout for household knights, where reputations are built or destroyed in a single afternoon. You are building yours. Your style is noted, controlled aggression, tactical. You do not charge blindly. You think. Sir Aldrich's lessons alive in your wrists. But you also see what the circuit produces in other men. Knights who have been doing this for 20 years, collecting ransoms and spending them between events. Men with no land and no lord and no home except the road. Their armor is excellent. Their eyes are empty. One afternoon you ransom a man and watch the relief break across his face. The relief of a person who will survive, who will see his children again, who will pay any price to get out of this room. You named that price. The look on his face does not bother you as much as it probably should.
Level 5. The Household Knight. A great lord offers you a permanent position, board, lodging, a stipend, a place at his table. In exchange, your sword, your lance, your obedience, permanently. You accept. Most knights do. The alternative is the tournament road until you are too old and too slow and someone younger ends your income in a field somewhere and takes everything you own. You are part of a retinue now, 12 household knights, sworn men, the Lord's personal force. You ride with him everywhere. You execute his will. When a vassal refuses to pay his dues, you ride to collect them. Sometimes the vassal pays in coin. Sometimes he argues. Sometimes he has to be shown what arguing costs. You have shown men this lesson before. You do it cleanly, professionally, without pleasure, or so you tell yourself. It helps to tell yourself. The chivalric code says you exist to protect the weak. You were told this as a page, reinforced as a squire, decorated with scripture and the songs of troubadours who have never held a sword. The reality is simpler. You protect what your lord owns. His lands, his income, his authority. The peasants on his land are part of what he owns. Protecting them and protecting his interests are usually the same thing. When they are not, you learn quickly which side of that equation you are actually on. A village that refuses its harvest tithe is not protected by you. It is shown what protection costs when it is withdrawn. You ride away without looking back at the smoke rising behind you. Level 6. The Knight Banneret. Your lord promotes you. He cuts the pointed tip of your pennant into a square banner, the mark of a banneret, a knight who leads other knights. You command 6 lances now, 30 men, horses, squires, supply chains. Your own small army inside the larger army. In the field, you learned what command actually means. It means that when you give an order, men die in the direction you point them. You led a flanking charge at a border skirmish that has no name in any chronicle, invisible to history, but total in its violence for every person inside it. You lost 4 men. 2 were knights you had trained personally. 1 was 21 years old, a squire you had knighted yourself 3 months earlier. He took a spear through the visor gap. He was dead before he hit the ground. You told his father that he died with courage. This was true. What you did not say was that he died because you ordered the charge 6 seconds too early. You have run those 6 seconds in your head 1,000 times. 6 seconds earlier, and the spear finds a different angle. 6 seconds later, and the gap has closed. 6 seconds, and a man lives or doesn't, and becomes a father or doesn't. Your lord is pleased with the outcome. He calls you bold. You accept the praise. You do not correct him. This too is a skill you are developing, knowing what to say and what to let stand. The truth and the useful version of the truth are not always the same thing. You are learning which one the world rewards.
The Crusade, an interlude. There is no rank for what comes next, only a choice. The Pope calls, the Holy Land, Christ's tomb in the hands of infidels. Every knight who takes the cross is promised remission of sins, past and future, a clean accounting. You have accumulated enough that a clean accounting sounds like an extraordinary offer. You take the cross. You sell 2 parcels of land to fund the passage. You join a column of 800 knights and 4,000 infantry and begin the march southeast across the known world. The Crusade is nothing like the sermons. The sermons described a holy war. What you find is supply lines collapsing in the heat of Anatolia, 30 men dying of dysentery in a single week, a massacre of a city your commanders insist was militarily necessary, streets running with blood that does not belong exclusively to soldiers. You kill men who were praying when you found them. You kill a man who is holding a child back from the door, trying to keep you out of a house that is worth nothing to anyone except the family that lives in it. You step over him to check that no one is hiding inside who might kill you later. There is only the child, standing in the corner, looking at you with an expression you have no word for. You complete the pilgrimage. You pray at the Holy Sepulchre. The stone is cool under your forehead. You feel nothing in particular. The priests assure you your sins are absolved. You ride home. You do not speak of certain things. The cross on your cloak fades with washing. The other things do not fade.
Level 7. The Sheriff. The Crown appoints you to administer a county, collect taxes, hold the king's courts, enforce the law. You have traded your sword for a seal. The seal is more powerful. The law is a lever, and you hold the handle. When a merchant sues a lord for unpaid debt, you decide whether the case proceeds or quietly disappears. Cases proceed when they serve order. They disappear when the alternative is messier. You collect the county's farm, the annual tax figure assessed by the exchequer, and deliver it to the crown. What you collect above that figure is yours to keep. This is not corruption. It is the system. Every sheriff does it. It is how the position works and why men compete for these appointments. You are efficient. You are feared rather than hated, which you consider a reasonable outcome. People who come before your court leave with decisions. Those decisions are not always just in the way a priest might define justice. They are just in the way an administrator defines it, predictable, consistent, aligned with the interests of the crown that empowers you and the lords who surround you. Justice that threatens the powerful does not survive long enough to matter. You have learned to shape your rulings around this reality so smoothly that it no longer feels like shaping, it feels like reading the room. You are very good at reading the room. You have been practicing since you were 7 years old in someone else's castle, learning which way the wind was blowing and how to angle yourself into it.
Level 8. The Baron. Land. Actual land, granted by the king in exchange for military service and judicial loyalty and a payment you negotiated over 3 years of careful maneuvering. 12 villages, 4,000 acres, 200 villains, serfs bound to the land, unable to leave without your permission, unable to marry without your approval, unable to pass their holdings to their children without paying you a Harriet fee. You hold pit and gallows. Those words mean exactly what they sound like. You can hang men. You can drown women accused of crimes. You can flog, imprison, mutilate, exile. These are not theoretical powers. You exercise them. A man caught poaching your deer is flogged in the village square in front of his children. A woman accused of cursing a neighbor's cattle is tried in your court. The evidence is thin. The neighborhood wants a resolution, and you need their cooperation more than you need her innocence. She is not hanged, you are not a monster. She is branded and driven out. The village is satisfied. Order is maintained. You host a midsummer feast and watch the villains dance in your courtyard. One of them plays a pipe badly but with tremendous enthusiasm. They are happy tonight, or performing happiness with enough skill that the distinction barely matters. You look out at them from the dais and think about the boy led through a castle gate at 7 years old and told to make himself useful. You made yourself useful. Here is the result. Here are the people you protect. Here is the fence they may not cross without your permission. You pour yourself wine from Bordeaux, not the local swill, the good kind, and drink to it. You do not ask yourself what it costs them to produce it. That question leads somewhere you do not need to go tonight.
Level 9. The Earl. You hold 3 counties now. 2,000 knights and men-at-arms sworn to your banner. A seat on the King's Council. A household staff of 80 people. An income that rivals the royal treasury in a difficult year for the crown. The King needs you. This is a new sensation. You have always needed the king, his protection, his favor, his grants and confirmations. Now the weight is on both sides of the scale. He is fighting in France, and the campaign requires money. Your logistics, your ability to move siege equipment across 200 miles of roads in January. You provide it. In exchange, you receive concessions, legal rights, tax exemptions, influence over royal appointments in your counties that previously flowed through officials you could not touch. Power at this level is not wielded, it is positioned. You are in the room when decisions are made, and the room is the power. You say little. You watch which way alliances are forming. You let others speak first. You align yourself with the winning side just before it becomes obvious which side that is. Not early enough to look like you caused it, not late enough to look like you missed it. This is not duplicity, you tell yourself. It is prudence. The men who commit loudly and early are the ones who swing from the castle gate when the tide turns. You have attended those trials. You have, once, signed a document that contributed to one. The man was guilty. Mostly guilty. Probably guilty of enough that the outcome was defensible. You signed it and moved on to the next thing. That is what this level requires. There is always a next thing to move on to. At Easter, your confessor asks you whether you believe you will be judged for what you have done. It is the most honest question anyone has asked you in years. You tell him, "I believe I will be judged as a man who served order." He does not look entirely satisfied. You are not entirely satisfied either. You give a large donation to the cathedral fund. You commission a tomb for yourself in the nave. The stone effigy will show you in full armor, hands clasped in prayer, a small lion at your feet. The craftsman is very good. The stone version of you will look serene, righteous, the way you looked before you understood what this life actually required.
Level 10. The Marshal. You command the king's army in the field, not as one lord among many, as the commander. The authority to organize, position, and commit 40,000 men is entirely yours. You ride the line before battle. The men cheer. They have been told to cheer, or rather, the act of cheering is a reflex conditioned by every story ever told about great lords on war horses. You accept it. You look at the faces. Boys, mostly. Farmers pressed into service, given a spear and told which direction is the enemy. Mercenaries from Flanders who ask nothing more complex than to be paid on time. Knights who have served you 20 years and know exactly what is coming and show it in their eyes. You have given the order that will put all of them in motion in approximately 4 hours. The plan is good. You believe it is good. 6 weeks of development, pressure tested against every contingency you and your captains could imagine. What no plan accounts for is the moment it begins, when noise becomes total and vision narrows to 30 feet and the plan becomes a set of intentions being bent by 10,000 individual moments of chance and terror. Men die in the gap between the plan and the reality. They always do. You win. 3,000 dead on the enemy side, 600 of yours. The king is pleased. This is what victory looks like from a distance. Up close, it looks like a field that will smell wrong for 2 weeks before the burial parties finish their work. It looks like crows. It looks like the faces of the men who carried the dead, who know better than anyone what actually happened out there. They do not speak of it. Who would they tell, and what would be the point? You were handed a world that told you the sword was nobility. You have spent 40 years holding it. The nobility is harder to locate than it used to be. Level 11. The Magnet. Near royal power. 4 counties, a city, a harbor. More legal rights than most kings held a century ago. You are the most powerful man in the kingdom below the crown. In certain fiscal quarters, the margin is debatable. You do not fight wars. You fund them and withdraw funding and watch the balance of the realm shift in response. You have leveraged a disputed royal succession into 3 new royal charters and a marriage arrangement that will link your bloodline to the royal line within 2 generations. Your grandchildren will be near royalty, possibly royalty. This was not the plan. Plans at this level are less plans than orientations, a ship that knows roughly where the port is and adjusts for weather. Men come to you. They sit across tables and ask for things: land, appointments, protection, the removal of rivals, justice shaped to their advantage. You provide what serves you. You decline what does not. You have 30 lawyers, agents in every court in Europe. A letter sent from your seal carries weight that smaller men's armies cannot match. You have not drawn your sword in anger in 15 years. You have not needed to. Your confessor asks during Lent whether you believe you will face judgment for what you have done. It is the most honest question anyone has asked you in a decade. You tell him, "I believe I will be judged as a man who served order." He does not look satisfied. You are not satisfied either. Level 12. There is no official title for this one. They call you the Old Sword. They mean it as reverence. You know what it means. You are 63 years old. Your left knee will not fully straighten. You have a scar across your jaw from a tournament in your 20s, a white seam you have stopped noticing. Your sword hand cramps in cold weather. The cold is most of the year. You sit by the fire, and your squire brings you wine, and you watch the young knights training in the yard below with the ferocious earnestness of people who do not yet know what they are being shaped into. One of them is your grandson. He is 14. He rides well. He holds his lance correctly. His eyes are wide open and full of something bright that has not yet been spent. He will be a page for a great lord next year. He is already spoken for. He will go through everything you went through: the years of service, the learning to bow, the slow accumulation of power through patience and survival, and the willingness to do what is required. He will protect the weak with one hand and take from them with the other, and call it order. He will fight in wars he did not choose for causes that will curdle with distance. He will make decisions that cannot be unmade and stand in front of confessors who grant absolution that does not quite reach the weight at the bottom. He will become, if he is skilled and fortunate and sufficiently willing, something very much like you. You watch him ride. You do not call down to warn him. What would you say? The gate is open. New pages are arriving. Small boys, 6 and 7 years old, led by fathers who do not look back. The steward takes them in. The gate closes. They will learn to ride. They will fall and get up and fall again. They will be shaped. They do not know yet into what. They never do. The cycle continues. It always does.